Welcome friends. In our previous videos we have discussed about cell organelles which were the part of endomembrane system, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, lysosomes. They work together in coordination with one another and they are the part of endomembrane system. One more thing, these three cell organelles, Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum and lysosomes, they are made up of single membrane. They are bound by a single membrane. Today we would discuss about two cell organelles which are bound by two membranes, double membrane. These two membranes, these two cell organelles, mitochondria and chloroplast, they are the most vital of all cell organelles. I would rather say they govern the life on the earth. You may or may not believe the God governs our life, but being science students, we definitely should believe that these two cell organelles, they are playing life here. The evolution of the life, the diversification of the life, and the flourishing of the life is possible due to these two cell organelles, because one of them is the powerhouse. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of our cell and this is our kitchen. Chloroplast is the kitchen of our cell. This traps light energy, sunlight energy, and stores in the food in the form of chemical energy, and that chemical energy or the food is respired or oxidized by mitochondria in a respiration, and it again converts that chemical energy into biological form, the ATP molecules. They are synthesized in mitochondria. So see, what would be the scenario in absence of these two cell organelles? There would be no energy. Whatever energy, trapping the sunlight energy, converting it into the chemical energy, then oxidizing that material and converting again that chemical energy into biological energy, and only biological energy is utilized by us. So we need ATPs and mitochondria supplies ATPs. To form mitochondria, ATP, we need food, so chloroplast supplies us food. And chloroplasts are the only means to trap light energy for photosynthesis. There is one way in some bacteria, the chemosynthesis, but the percentage of chemosynthesis is very minute, very minimal. Most of the energy which is required by the living organisms is coming from photosynthesis, directly or indirectly. We may feed directly on the plants to take that energy as it is, or we may feed on animals which are herbivores, which feed on that energy trapped by the chloroplast. So directly or indirectly, all the food chains originate with chloroplast, with the food synthesized by chloroplast producers. Plants are producers because they have chloroplast. And therefore, I said these. And one more very important thing, basically the mitochondria and chloroplast are not our cell organelles. They are bacteria. They have their own circular DNA, single circular naked DNA. They have their own protein mechanism, protein synthesizing system. They have RNAs, they have ribosomes, 70S ribosomes. But these two cell organelles became cell organelles by entering in the cells, eukaryotic cells of higher organisms, and they became the endoparasites in our cell. See, if they would have not entered our cell, there was a big problem of energy. What we would have done, what we would have evolved, we don't know. Today we don't have the answer. The fact is that these true bacteria might be free living bacteria. Once upon a time, some billion years ago, they become endoparasites in our cells, in the cells of the higher organisms, and now they are governing the life. They are fulfilling our requirements of energy. One is trapping energy, another is releasing energy, and both are circulating energy among the all living organisms of the earth. So these are the most vital cell organelles now. We now consider them as cell organelles. They are the most vital cell organelles of living organisms. Let's see their structure and function. We would not discuss here the processes, respiration and photosynthesis. We would discuss these processes in separate videos. Today we would just concentrate ourselves on their structure and function in short, because we are basically studying cell, structure of the cell. So let's see the structure of mitochondria first. I have already drawn the diagrams here. Mitochondria for the first time were discovered by Kolliker in 1880. Discovered, but the term mitochondria was used by Benda in 1897. The mitochondria were first observed, discovered by Kolliker, but the term mitochondria, the name mitochondria was given to them by Benda in 1897. Now you see here, this is the mitochondria. They are elongated, rod-shaped structures just like bacteria. Their shape is also just like bacteria. We know bacillus type of bacteria are the rod-shaped bacilli, rod-shaped. So these are also elongated and rod-shaped. They are having two membranes, the outer membrane and inner membrane. Here you can see this is inner membrane, this is outer membrane. Black is the inner membrane and this one is the outer membrane. So their envelope is made up of two membranes, outer membrane and inner membrane. The outer membrane is smooth and continuous. It is porous and it is permeable. Outer membrane is fully permeable. The inner membrane is not fully permeable. It has some integrated proteins, carrier proteins, and it is selectively permeable. Inner membrane is selectively permeable. Now these both the membranes in mitochondria also, in chloroplast also, they are of the same type, fluid mosaic model. They are made up of the bilipid layer, some extrinsic and intrinsic proteins and some oligosaccharides attached to them. So Singer and Nicholson as stated the structure of biomembrane. These are also made up of by the same membrane, biomembrane with fluid mosaic model, but the membrane is not originated in endoplasmic reticulum. Whatever proteins are needed to form that membrane, they are synthesized by ribosomes, and those ribosomes which are not attached to endoplasmic reticulum. The proteins are secreted by such ribosomes which are free in the cytoplasm. The ribosomes come together, form larger groups which are known as polysomes, and these polysomes synthesize some proteins, and these proteins are taken up by the mitochondria and the chloroplast. So the membrane which is coming here, which is forming these cell organelles, two cell organelles, that is not coming from endoplasmic reticulum. They also have capacity to synthesize their own proteins. Some of the proteins are synthesized by themselves, some proteins are synthesized by the Ribosomes which are present in the cytoplasm, which are not attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. So and that's why they are not part of the endomembrane system. That is the reason they are not the part of endomembrane system. Their membrane is not coming from the three other cell organelles: Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum, and the lysosomes. So these are the two membranes, outer membrane and inner membrane. The outer membrane is porous, soft, and it is permeable. Inner membrane is selectively permeable. And one more character, the inner membrane forms some inner projections, finger-like projections into the lumen. You can see here in the whole figure, these are the finger-like projections into the lumen or into the inner cavity of the mitochondria, and these finger-like projections are called as the cristae. This one, the finger-like projections which are present inside the lumen of the mitochondria formed by the inner membrane, they are called as cristae. They increase the surface area for protein synthesis. They increase the surface area for ATP synthesis. Now the outer and inner membrane, they have a space in between them. This is the space in between the outer and inner membrane. This is called as the outer chamber. This space between the outer and inner membrane is called as outer chamber. This is also called as the perimitochondrial chamber. Perimitochondrial chamber or the outer chamber. Outer chamber, perimitochondrial chamber, or intermembrane space, the space between outer and inner membrane. Now the cristae or the inner membrane on the inner surface, this is the outer surface of the inner membrane. On the inner surface, you can see I have shown here with red color, they are attached with some such type of units. These are ATP synthesizing units. This is the membrane. Suppose this is the cristae. Inner membrane forms such cristae. So this is the inner membrane, and on the surface, inner surface of this inner membrane, such type of T-shaped units are present. These units are called as F1 units, or the F1 particles, or the oxysomes. The inner mitochondrial member on its inner side bears, on its surface, bears such particles, F1 particles, or the oxysomes. These are the ATP synthesizing units. ATP are synthesized in these F1 particles, oxysomes, ATP synthesis. Then the whole cavity of the mitochondria is divided into two chambers due to this inner membrane. The outer chamber, which is the space in between the outer membrane and inner membrane, and the space which is lined by inner membrane inside lumen of the mitochondria. So this space inside it is filled with fluid. This fluid is containing so many enzymes which are required for respiration, Krebs cycle, and it also contains DNA, the naked DNA, single circular naked DNA, a character of bacteria. It contains RNAs, it contains granular ribosomes. The ribosome type is 70S ribosome, bacterial ribosome. So inside it is containing enzymes, it is containing DNA, single DNA, RNAs, and ribosomes. Ribosomes are in the form of granules. So all this material together is called as matrix. inside the inner membrane. So inner chamber is filled with matrix, and this matrix is consisting of enzymes for respiration. Whatever respiration is taking place, Krebs cycle, that is taking place in it and in this matrix, and it contains enzymes for that. So this is the structure of mitochondria. Mitochondria have two members, outer membrane, inner membrane. The space in between them is outer chamber or perimitochondrial chamber. Inside it, the inner membrane is projected inside the lumen in the form of finger-like structures. These are called as cistae, and these cistae increase the surface area. On the surface of these cistae, the ATP synthesizing units or the oxysomes or the F1 particles are present in large number, and they are actually ATP synthesizing structures. Inside the inner chamber, matrix is present, and in this matrix the enzymes are present, DNA is present, RNAs are present, and 70S type of ribosomes with so many enzymes for Krebs cycle, they are present there. Now when the respiration takes place, the first part of the respiration, glucose to pyruvic acid takes place inside the cytoplasm, not inside the mitochondria. Then the pyruvic acid or the pyruvate enters here in the mitochondria. It is run in the Krebs cycle, and it ends in forming the ATP with CO2 plus H2. We know the end product of the respiration, full respiration, is CO2 plus H2O, the inorganic molecules. They are released. ATPs are synthesized. When one glucose molecule is fully oxidized, it liberates 38 ATPs. So those ATPs are our fuel, energy, bioenergy, and therefore, now coming to the function of mitochondria. Mitochondria does not do many other functions, just like our heart. It has only one function because it is continuously busy pumping blood. In the same way, mitochondria are continuously busy synthesizing ATP. Continuous supply of energy is needed. It is not the case that when we run or we do exercise, at that time only we need energy. When we are sleeping, at that time also many metabolic processes in our body are in continuity, and therefore they need energy. Continuous supply of energy is needed whenever we are living. The whole life we need ATP, continuous form of bioenergy is needed, and therefore mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell. They synthesize the ATP. So respiration is the main function of these mitochondria, only function, main function. But along with that, they can self-duplicate, fission, just like bacteria. Asexual reproduction in bacteria is done by fission, and when one bacterial cell divides into two, splits into two, in the same way mitochondria also are split into two. Fission is the method of self-duplication of this bacteria. This mitochondria, not bacteria, the mitochondria can self-duplicate, or it is seen many times they are duplicating themselves, just like bacteria. Again, they have their own protein synthesizing machinery. They have the DNA, naked circular DNA, they have the RNAs and ribosomes, so they also carry out protein synthesis. Main function, after all, are respiration. They are the powerhouse of the cell. They self-duplicate, they replicate by themselves, and they take part in protein synthesis. They synthesize proteins required by themselves. So these are the chief functions of the mitochondria. Now let's switch on. We can talk a lot about the respiration, so many steps there, but we would not talk here about the function, respiration. Now let's switch on to the plastids, chloroplast. Chloroplast is one of the plastids. Haeckel for the first time in 1877. Haeckel, he used the term plastids. Basically, the plastids are of three types and they are exclusively present in plants. Plastids are present only in the plants. They are of three types. Leucoplast, then chromoplast and chloroplast. Plastids are the double membraned cell organelles present in the plants. Both the cell organelles, both the membranes are biomembranes made up of bilipid layer, some intrinsic, extrinsic proteins and oligosaccharides, all of these three. They differ in containing the pigments. Leucoplasts are without pigments, non-pigmented plastids. They are not having pigments and therefore they are colorless, no color. Leucoplasts are without color. Chromoplasts contain the xanthophylls and the carotenoids. Xanthophylls and carotenoids, red and yellow pigments, and therefore chromoplasts are the plastids in which the color is red, reddish, yellowish, sometimes brownish color. They are not green in color. These are chiefly or predominantly present in the fruits and the flowers. We see variety of colors in the flowers and the fruits. That is due to the chromoplast, the plastids with other colors, reddish color, yellowish color or brownish color. And the last one, chloroplast, we are going to study it in detail. Chloroplasts contain the chlorophyll pigments. The main pigments in the chloroplast are the chlorophylls, and these chlorophylls are the green pigments. Now the chloroplast are, all the plastids are present in plants only. Chloroplasts are the green cell organelles. They are present in those plant parts which are green. Predominantly they are present in the leaves, but in some desert plants we see the leaves are reduced to thorns or scales and the stem performs the photosynthesis. So when the stem is green in color, when the stem is photosynthesizing, these chloroplasts are present in the stems. So they are kitchen of the cell. Why kitchen of the cell? Because they are photosynthesizing units. They synthesize the food. Whatever food is required by all the living organisms except some chemosynthetic bacteria, all other living organisms are supplied with this food, the food which is synthesized by chloroplast. As I discussed earlier, chloroplast might be the bacteria, but they are endoparasites and they are living permanently in the cells of the plants now. So they are endoparasites, but they have capacity to do photosynthesis, and due to their capacity of photosynthesis, they are the kitchen or the food synthesizing machinery for all the living organs. These are the only cell organelles which can trap the light energy. We can use energy given by them only. The trapping of the light energy or sunlight energy is done by the chloroplast only. Now come to their structure. They are such type of lens shaped or discoid structures. In some cases only they may be differing in structure. They are present in the plant cells around the vacuoles, and these mitochondria may remain stagnant at one place, but the chloroplasts are seen swimming or they are moving around the vacuole in the plant cells. There is a big vacuole in the plant cells, and these are not sitting at one place. They are rotating or they are moving or circulating continuously. It is seen. These chloroplasts are having two wall layers, the two membrane layers, outer membrane and inner membrane. Here you can see outer membrane with black color, inner membrane with blue color. There is space in between these two membranes, the intermembrane space, but this space is not big like the mitochondria. This is very small space, so that is not conspicuous space, but even then there is space in between them. The outer membrane, like mitochondria, is permeable. The inner membrane, like mitochondria, is semi-permeable or selectively permeable, because it is made up of the same material here also and here also in mitochondria and chloroplast. The inner membrane have some specific proteins, carrier proteins, which allow only certain particles to go in and out, certain solutes to go in and out. So this outer and inner membranes are present, both are continuous, they are not folding like mitochondria. The inner membrane is not folding here, and inside these two membranes, whatever material is present, it is of two types. One is lamellar system and another is stroma. Now in the lamellar system, there are some stacked structures which are called as grana. You can see here, this is a granum, this is another granum, grana. These are the stacks of thylakoids. Coin-like structures, flat, and they are superposed upon one above the another, forming just like the stacks of coins. Here thylakoids form the stacked structures and they form the grana. Now each granum may have 2 to 100 thylakoids. In each granum 2 to 100 thylakoids may be present. The number of grana is also varying. It is large in continuously photosynthetic cells. In spongy cells it is slightly less in number. So grana are present. They are made up of some stacks of thylakoids. The grana are interconnected. They are connected with one another by some intergrana lamellae. Here this is the intergrana lamellae. This one. All these are the grana are connected with one another by intergrana lamellae. The intergrana lamellae are also called as stroma lamellae. Intergrana lamellae are also called as stroma lamellae. So all these together, the grana and intergrana lamellae or the stroma lamellae, they are forming this lamellar system. The enzymes which are present in the membrane of this lamellar system, they are different, and the enzymes outside that system, they are different. So two different processes are taking place at these two different sites. We will discuss about them. So first, the grana. Inside the grana, thylakoids are present, 2 to 100 thylakoids. Now inside this thylakoid, the contasomes are present. Contasomes are present, and inside the contasomes the chlorophylls are present. Chlorophyll molecules are present inside the contasomes. Their number is fixed. 230 chlorophyll molecules are present in one contasome. Many contasomes are present in the thylakoids, and many thylakoids are present in the grana. So chlorophyll molecules, chlorophyll A, reaction center, and other chlorophylls, pigment system 1 and pigment system 2. We call it as PS1, PS2, or photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. So that PS1, PS2, the chlorophyll systems, photosystems, they are forming the contasomes. 230 chlorophyll molecules are present in each contasome. Contasomes are forming thylakoids. Thylakoids are forming the grana. So indirectly, this grana is having the chlorophyll pigments inside it. In the chloroplast, the chlorophyll pigments are present inside the grana, and therefore half part or first part of the photosynthesis, which is known as light reaction, that is taking place in the lamellar system, in the grana system, in the grana. The light reaction, first part of the photosynthesis, it is completed in two phases. Now coming to the stroma, another thing, whatever present inside this chloroplast outside this lamellar system, the matrix, it is called as the stroma. Here we call it as matrix. In mitochondria it is called as stroma in chloroplast. In case of the chloroplast, this matrix or the stroma is containing again a fluid. It is colorless fluid because color is present in the grana. Chlorophylls are present in the grana. So outside grana, the stroma is present. It is a fluid. Stroma is a fluid. It is colorless fluid, but it is granular. It contains number of granules. It contains number of enzymes. The enzymes which are present in the lamellar system are different. The enzymes which are present in the chloroplast, in this stroma of the chloroplast, they are different. And it also contains DNA, naked DNA, single circular naked DNA, just like bacteria. It contains RNA. It contains the ribosomes, 70S type of ribosomes, prokaryotic ribosomes. So it contains, stroma contains the enzymes, DNA, single DNA, RNAs and 70S ribosomes. Few other granules are also present in the stroma. Enzymes are specific. The enzymes which are present in grana are different. The enzymes which are present in stroma are different. And the second phase of the photosynthesis, which is called as the dark reaction, it takes place in this stroma. So photosynthesis is two-step process. The light reaction is taking place in the grana and intergrana lamellar system, and the dark reaction is taking place in stroma system. So this is the structure of chloroplast. Now function again. It has no other function. Chloroplast has only one and specific function, and that is synthesis of the food. But if we consider the plastids, then different plastids have different functions. Functions of the plastids. We know that leucoplast, these are storage in function because they are non-pigmented, they are colorless, and generally the leucoplasts are present in the root parts, underground system, they are colorless. So storage of the proteins, storage of the lipids, storage of the carbohydrates, it is the function of the leucoplast. Then chromoplast, they are giving color to the flowers and fruits. When they are colored flowers, flowers are beautifully colored, it directly helps in pollination. So the chromoplasts are making the fruits and flowers attractive, and they are helping the flowers in pollination. And the chloroplast with green pigments, chlorophylls, it is food factory, it is kitchen of the cell, and it is synthesizing food. So in this way, the mitochondria and chloroplast, these two cell organelles are the most vital cell organelles because they are the cell organelles which run life on the earth. We don't know any other mean of energy flow. The energy is trapped by chloroplast and it is it is converted into usable form, ATPs, by mitochondria. Both the things which are required for respiration, food is required, chemical energy is required, and to take out ATP from that chemical energy or food, oxygen is required. Both are given by the chloroplast. photosynthesis. And that's why the respiration and photosynthesis are called as life processes. These are most vital processes. Life is not possible without photosynthesis and without respiration. Energy is present in everything. We would not be needing only food. If we could take energy from this pen, it is also made up of bonds, and bonds are always formed by giving energy. So energy is present in these bonds, energy is present in the sandstones, everywhere, in each article, in each object energy is present, but we are not able to take out that energy. We are able to take out energy from the food molecules with the help of mitochondria only. In absence of mitochondria, there is no use to eat food. We would not get energy in any other form. So therefore these two cell organelles, though they are not the part of endomembrane system, they are the most vital cell organelles of our cell. I have some beautiful figures. I would show you these figures with the help of the slides. Let's see some slides here. Now this is the first slide in which a plant cell is there. In this plant cell you can see here the distribution of, this is mitochondria, here is mitochondria, and this is chloroplast, this is chloroplast, this is chloroplast, this is chloroplast. So many chloroplasts are present in the plant cells. Coming to the mitochondria, especially in this figure you can see so many mitochondria are present. So many mitochondria, even in hundreds they are present in the plant cells, in the animal cells also. The mitochondria is having two wall layers. This is the outer wall layer, this is the inner wall layer. The inner wall layer shows some such type of in projections, finger like projections, and these are called as the cristae. So here the labeling is cristae, the finger like projections into the lumen of the mitochondria. This is dividing the mitochondria into outer chamber and inner chamber. This is outer chamber, this one is the outer chamber, this one is the outer chamber. Intermembrane space, also called as perimitochondrial space, and this is the inner chamber. This one I am showing here some granules. So this is the matrix which is present in the inner chamber. Here the labeling is matrix, inner chamber or the matrix. Inside the matrix the enzymes for Krebs cycle are present. Here you can see in this second figure of respiration, the glucose is converted into pyruvic acid or pyruvate in the cytoplasm outside the mitochondria. But if mitochondria are present, then in presence of oxygen the pyruvic acid enters into the mitochondria, it is flown through the Krebs cycle, and then it forms the CO2 and H2O here. CO2, H2O, they are the end products with the release of ATP. Here the ATP are released in this way. If mitochondria would have been absent, then the pyruvic acid is converted into ethanol, or in lactic acid we know ethanol fermentation, alcohol fermentation, or the lactic acid fermentation. Here we get ATP but only 2 ATP, and here we get 38 ATPs. This is a big difference in presence of mitochondria, respiration in absence of mitochondria. Only 2 ATP are the end product of lactic acid or ethanol fermentation, and 38 ATP is the end product of the fuller respiration by the mitochondria. So big difference is there. Now this is the chloroplast. You can see the thylakoids arranged one above the another like this, and they are forming the stacks which are known as the grana. So these green colored thylakoids, they are forming the grana. Now except this grana, whatever present here, I am showing in the form of granules here. So this is stroma. This is the labeling of stroma. So grana and stroma, they are the parts of this chloroplast. The outer membrane is there. You can see this is outer membrane, this is inner membrane. In between these two, the intermembrane space is present. This is the labeling for intermembrane space, and inside it grana and stroma are present. The grana are interconnected. Here you can see they are interconnected like this to one another, and these connections are known as intergrana lamellae or the stroma lamellae. Here you can see these are the connections in between the grana. All these grana and the intergrana lamellae, they are forming the lamellar system. The light reaction takes place. I can explain it with next figure. Here you can see the light reaction. The first phase, this arrow, H2O is taken, hydrolysis takes place, and the light reaction takes place inside this grana. This is a grana. Inside this grana, the light is utilized or trapped, and the NADPH is formed from NADP here, and the ADP is converted into ATP, and first phase of the photosynthesis light reaction is taking place in the grana. This is Kelvin cycle. The second phase of light reaction, it is taking place in the stroma. Whatever enzymes are needed for it, ATP is required for it, NADPH is required for it. They are coming from the light reaction, and the CO2 is utilized here. So with the help of this CO2, NADPH and ATP, it forms the glucose molecule, sugar molecule, CH2O in the Kelvin cycle. So here H2O is utilized, light is utilized in light reaction, and here CO2 is utilized in dark reaction to form the CH2O glucose molecule. So this is photosynthesis taking place inside the chloroplast in two phases, light reaction, dark reaction. Kelvin cycle is the dark reaction. Here we can see one more thing, why the grana or the chloroplast appear green. The light is made up of VIBGYOR, VIBGYOR. Out of that, the red light, blue light is absorbed, green light is reflected, and when something is reflected, that color is seen. So we can see the chloroplast as green in color, or the chlorophylls as green in color, thylakoids as green in color, because they reflect green light. Green light is not absorbed by them, and that's why they appear green to us. This is one of the most fascinating diagram here, energy flow. You can see light energy is trapped here by these chloroplasts, and they form the food molecule, organic molecules or the food molecules, and O2, oxygen. They use the CO2 and H2O, inorganic substances, and from those inorganic substances, with the help of these chlorophyll pigments, the chloroplast uses the light energy or traps light energy and forms these two substances, the organic molecules and O2, food and the oxygen. And these organic molecules and oxygen are utilized by this mitochondria to form the ATP molecules. Here the ATP are formed by utilization of these organic molecules and the oxygen. So organic molecules and oxygen both are given by chloroplast. They are utilized for ATP synthesis. After ATP synthesis, the again CO2 and H2O are released, inorganic molecules are released. So these inorganic molecules are circulated, CO2 and H2O, and they are circulated to form the food, and they are circulated to form the ATP. Again they are released. Light energy is trapped and ATP is expelled. It is synthesized. This ATP is used for the rest of the cellular work all the time. So in this way, the mitochondria and the chloroplast, these two cell organelles, they are helping us the mitochondria and the chloroplast. They are helping us to live because they are giving energy, they are generating energy, they are creating energy. The energy is trapped in chloroplast, it is brought into the chemical form. That chemical form is taken inside in the form of food by the living organisms, and that food is broken down, it is oxidized, and ATPs are taken out from that food, means energy is taken out that food by the mitochondria, and in this way they are flowing energy, and this energy is utilized by all food levels, the herbivores, carnivores, top order carnivores, all of them use this energy, even the decomposers. So energy reaches to all levels, that energy which is synthesized by the chloroplast, and it is converted into biological energy by the mitochondria. So I think this is sufficient for today, and thank you very much.